welcome to this week's brand new relaunch of Paranormal Living and this week's first Paranormal Monday, whatever you want to call it, episode. So we are joined by Lorna this
Hello,
evening.
everyone.
So do get your comments in, let us know who's watching, where you're watching from, and if you don't mind sharing for us, that would be absolutely fantastic. So Lorna is with us this evening. You've seen Lorna on a few things before.
Yeah, I've been on a couple of investigations, but nothing like what we're doing today and what we've got planned for the future. So it's really exciting.
So guys, we are going to talk about, she got some notes. There's been a lot of things gone into this episode. So Lorna is going to tell us a bit about her sort of paranormal, sort of spiritual adventure. First, probably the freakiest point for me was at Newsham Park, which we have spoken about
definitely. I mean, to be honest, I've always been a believer since being a kid, really.
Yeah.
That's where it all started. Always sort of hoped that there'd be more than what we sort of already know is out there. But the experience at Newsham Park were what sort of sold me that the paranormal is indeed real. We went to Newsham and then a lot of stuff happened throughout the night, but I ended up fainting in the basement there, and that was ultimately what did it for me.
Which also leads on to what we're talking about tonight, which is about energy and psychometry, which we were talking about in the car.
Yes.
Which I was saying about when you hold things, because for those who may see, this is a famous swinging lantern, which has kindly been loaned to us. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about energy, and we were talking about it in the car, about psychometry and things, and about you can hold things and sort of get them feelings and stuff, which you had hold of the trolley.
Yeah, it was strange, because when we were in that room, I didn't realise that the whole time. So we were sort of stood around the perimeter of the room in the group that we were in. And there was like an old hospital, like trolley bed type thing where they'd take someone away on it. And because we were in the dark, I was just leaning onto that for support. And then, we thinking, now is there some sort of tie from leaning onto an object from the past that could have had the energy, which then led to what happened to me when I ended up fainting.
It was interesting. I've never experienced that before. I never carried on, and I'm like, 1 minute, she's fainted. I didn't know what to do. Help me carry that what? Put me hand out, she's gone. So let's see who is watching with us. Let us know that the sound is alright. So we've got Simon who's sending laughing emojis at you. Paul Krantz, good evening. Tracy, Janice, Sarah. So Aaron as well. Karen. So we've got quite a few people on. So good evening, welcome.
Yeah.
And hope you like the new set as well. We're officially set now.
Yeah, we have.
Not had to sit on the
There's a studio, and it's took some real sorting out today.
This is one of the reasons we are a bit late.
Yeah, we won't say too much, but it has been a bit of a hassle.
Absolutely. So today, one of the topics we're going to talk about, as I mentioned, is energy, psychometry, and sort of real or fear or real. I think that was what we sort of vibe we were going down, wasn't it?
Yeah. We've got a few things with us as well, which we're going to show you, which is it ties along with the topic. But first, we do want to mention something else that we've got planned, which is the giveaway.
I'll let you talk about this.
So we're giving away to one person. So all you've got to do to win, you have to subscribe to the YouTube, to the Facebook page. What else do we have? TikTok. All social media. Everything Paranormal Living. And then you've got the chance to win. We've got a tote bag. We've got a mug. I think we've got a hoodie. Yeah, there's the mug.
Look at this.
We've got a hoodie in there. And then we might have something else in there yet as well, which we can't confirm. But
plenty to give away.
There is.
And it's exciting.
All the details for that will be on the Facebook page as well, though. So
and it should all arrive this week.
Yes.
eBay took a bit of time. So the free giveaway. So like you said, make sure you subscribe to everything, all Paranormal Living, and then also we are going to chuck in a packet of tarot cards as well and a few other bits as well. So be in it to win it. So if anyone has any questions this evening, Paul, good evening, pal. The computer's a bit far away, so we're able to see it. They look bigger further away.
Look at the size of those mugs.
So guys, we energy. So fear. They're gonna have to pull comments up. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is Annabelle the doll. So anyone may have seen the film. Have you seen the film Annabelle?
Yeah.
I've actually never seen it.
It's a good film.
And they made her look quite creepy when she actually just looks a bit like that.
Yeah, she I think that ties into sort of like over dramatising stuff for Hollywood though. I mean, the stories about the doll itself, I don't think you have to make it look any scarier than what it already is.
I think that looks creepy, to be honest. If that was walking around by itself and writing dangerous messages, I think that's more creepy than
Yeah, it wouldn't.
it's very innocent looking.
But so the sort of like thing that behind it is we were saying we just had this conversation before and we were saying, is it the sort of fear that would stop you? So for instance, when you know Annabelle was kept in that box that you can see on the screen there on the other picture, and nobody would touch her for fear that something would happen. But is it the fear that sort of takes over in that scenario of fear of touching the doll, or is it fear of sort of the unknown?
See, that's the interesting part. So there's obviously you hear the stories, and obviously stories sort of last in your mind, and then you get the people who genuinely don't believe in anything, and then they say the bad luck happens to them because they start teasing the doll. You know, like they've like
Yeah,
tormenting the doll while they're there in the museum. And then you get people who genuinely absolutely petrified it and won't look at. And Lorraine and Ed Warren said, well, apart from that picture, but she would never normally go near it. She was quite said it's the most evil thing they had in the museum.
yeah, it were locked in that box for
Yeah.
years and years and years, and I think there were stories of I think taking it to the museum from the place where it was originally the house that it came from.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it were a priest that took it there and ended up crashing his car with the doll inside it. Now I don't know
Yes.
whether that is
No, it's a true story, part.
a coincidence though, or is it
But yeah,
the
because
doings of the doll?
also like things like that where people say they give you a curse, and if you believe it, it's probably something bad is going to happen because you genuinely believe it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Not necessarily is it a genuine thing. So what do you guys think? Obviously, put in your comment section. Let us know what your thoughts are on Annabelle the doll, or just things in
Yeah.
general along these
Would you
lines.
pick Annabelle up?
No,
You wouldn't.
no, but I'm interested to. I'm interested to actually go up to the museum, to actually see it and the vibe.
What
The
about
vibe you get in
the
the room.
box, the outside box? Would you
Yeah,
touch
I
the
never
box?
looked at it.
Would you touch it?
No, but again,
Mm.
is it fear or is it because of the unknown? I think it's you just don't want to tempt fate.
Yeah, that's it. That was a good way of putting it. I think so.
So, Paul Crooks, of course, I would. Tracy's put absolutely not. Your mother said yes.
Of course she would.
Brendan, good evening, pal. He's put definitely not. But what is it? So the reason you won't touch it, guys, is it because of you don't want to, like myself, I'd just rather not risk anything, or is it the fear of it genuinely is what probably one of the most evil things according to Ed and Lorraine?
Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing, and it's very similar. But even for the non-believers out there, you would very rarely find a person that would touch a Ouija board. And
I'm one of them.
and again, it's is it because of the fear of touching the board and what it could do? Because
Yeah.
even the people who sort of don't believe would still be sort of reclusive to go and use a Ouija board.
Hmm. No, that's a good point. I think I've been instilled on not touching them things, and that's from being a young age, so it naturally grows up with you as
Yeah,
well. But then with so Paul's put fear of the unknown, Tracy's put she's evil, and I think I've lost my train of thought now. But yeah, instilling that fear and again the fear of something what you don't know. I guess that fear of the unknown, like you say, and I think it's your experiences through life as well. They do tend to stick with you. You know what I mean? Like I've been told about Ouija boards from being a kid not to touch them because of how
yeah,
bad they are. But on the other hand, you see people who've had nothing but positive experiences. So I guess it depends maybe what mindset you go in with as well.
yeah. I think it's your approach to it. I think if you go in there not really sort of knowing what you're doing, there's a lot of steps that can go wrong with
Yeah.
something like that. But I think if you go in there, all clued up,
Mm.
ultimately you should be all right.
Yeah. So oh, we have a message here from Chris. So Chris is on. Good evening, buddy. He's back on the episode at the end of June as well. I think it's the
Yeah.
27th.
Hi, Chris.
Ouija board is very misinterpreted. As long as it's used properly and open and closed correctly, it can be a great piece of equipment to communicate with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Tracy has put, if Ed and Lorraine locked her in a box, it must be for a reason for it.
That's true. Yeah, because considering everything else that they were in that museum was left sort of out, it were on
Yeah,
shelves
you
and
can see
things,
it.
but yeah, the fact that she was locked away, and I think they used to have a priest come around and
Yeah,
bless the
bless her with holy
museum.
water.
Yeah.
I think as well, going back to Annabelle, is that because it looks so innocent, it is literally a child's doll. That's probably what entices you to probably touch them on, because you probably go, oh, it's only a doll, it's just a kid's thing. But whatever apparent evil or whatever it is in there, that's probably how it's getting you, because it's making you want to touch it and do
Yeah,
whatever.
like
It doesn't
sort
look
of
threatening.
yeah, going under the sort of thing that it's a kid's toy type
Yeah.
thing. So you would go and pick it up.
What are your thoughts on Ouija boards while we're talking? While Chris mentioned Ouija boards.
Man,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say no to doing one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it stupidly, but I wouldn't say no to doing one. If it was the right group of people in the right
And you could
setting,
trust and stuff.
yeah. And if it were on an investigation somewhere where nothing, extremely sinister happened, then I would do it.
Yeah.
But I would never do one on my own.
No,
And I would
absolutely.
never do one with the wrong group of people.
No, we had this conversation before, I think, as well, about like Hollywood films. They always tend to make things look a lot worse, and they tend to have a stigma to it as well.
Yeah, because when you see it in Hollywood, they do the Ouija board and then the lights flash and the tables fly around and
Heads are turning.
that is it, yeah.
Brenda's played about Zach Bagans seeing Annabelle. Was it in the museum? Because he saw the dog, because is it Ed and Lorraine's son-in-law, who now owns a museum and runs everything, the Warrens. He brought the doll to see Zach Bagans, but he decided to touch it for whatever reason. I don't know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I've
No,
seen the clip. We'll have to find
I
the
bet
YouTube clip.
Tracy's watched that though.
Yeah, but I am. Was it the real doll though? Was it just the seller? You don't know.
Well, yeah, that's one of them. It were a mass commercially produced doll, weren't it? So it is one of them. Yeah, and I don't think he touched the real one.
And he told him not to, and he decided to. Paul has just put, a lot of paranormal groups don't know how to close Ouija boards. Well, I remember from an experience, so I won't touch one. Went on an investigation just before COVID happened, and this guy said, right, they're doing Ouija boards in this room. If they open and shut properly, da da da. I'm like, no, thank you. I'll stand over in the corner out of the way. And then the guy went, okay, left them to it, and then didn't shut it down and said, right, cheers, you on the next group now, and left it open. And I went, absolutely not. So I've got sage, I've got prayers going down, I've got everything playing on my way home.
Smudge stick going around.
Honestly, I had no chance. The fact that I wasn't even near it is bad enough. So, obviously, we've got plenty of comments coming in. Chris, I agree with that, Paul. Seen it firsthand, there's only a handful of our team that is allowed to open and close it for our guests to use. So, guys, you make sure you go check over as well, Lone Vigil's investigation. So, Chris has been on the show twice as well, so he's coming on soon. But they've got plenty of events going on. It was a good crack on it.
It were really good. It were a good group, a good place, really good price as well. So definitely check that out.
Yeah. So we're talking obviously about energy and fear and things like that. We had a bit. We're going to show you a video later on. I'm going to post it after the live, because that doll decided to move on its own, and we sat down, we got everything ready, and the doll tipped back. I don't know how it's happened, but it did. So we're going to show you that after. And that was one of the things I was going to talk about, is that doll. So this doll has just been bought when it's from a shop, like a charity shop thing.
Yeah.
So obviously we don't know who's had it before. So do you guys, and obviously I'm asking you as well, do you believe that energy can stick with that and attach himself to? Obviously, I've always spoke about Annabelle there, which is more sinister. But do you believe that something could still be with that?
Absolutely. I don't think there's an end to what a spirit could travel within. I think with Annabelle, I think it's very sort of cliche type thing to assume it's always the dolls.
Yeah.
But I'm also not debunking it either. I think energy can travel in many different forms, and with that lantern, of all things, I've seen that firsthand swinging around in my mum's house. So I have no doubt that it could pass on for anything. We've got a doctor's bag here that we got from another shop, which I have no doubt. It is really cool, but I have no doubt that this, probably carries a lot of energy. It's probably been to a lot of places, seen a lot of patients, and done a lot of stuff. What about you?
Yeah, I had some crazy experiences in regards to psychometry, and obviously, like even when I went to and I went to your mum's house, obviously with you the other day, and that's the first time I got to see it and touch it. And I said I
Yeah.
got a headache, and I felt a bit weird, not in a bad way. Um, but I love that the history side of it, especially working like psychometry and mediumship wise, is like what you can pick up and what the story could tell you. You know, maybe what you can get
Yeah.
from who may have had it beforehand. But it is the coolest thing. And that video you sent and put on the page when it full on swinging is awesome.
Yeah, and it's one of them things that's been like multiple times that we've seen that, and it's I find the way that it doesn't, it'll go like sort of forwards and backwards, and it wasn't all man in lantern, so it makes sense for it to be like that because if you're walking, the sort of movement, it would go with the same type of thing, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, we've got a few other bits I'm going to show you over the course of this episode. We've got a few more comments, which is, where's it gone? So this is from Brendan. Someone's mum was killed by crashing into a tree when someone was messing around with a Ouija board. And he asked if it was going to hurt someone. He said yes.
Wow.
That's some creepy.
Yeah, that is a
This
crazy.
is why I won't touch stuff like that because I don't, and it's not my cup of tea.
I mean, so going back to that, just a quick one. What would you sort of see different as a Ouija board rather than using a different form of communication, sort of like shouting out tarot cards, something like that? Like what sort of like takes you away from the Ouija board completely?
I just think, to me, it feels that it's more open than like when we've been on to places and stuff, and you're like, if anybody here, just give us a sign. But everyone's got the hands and all the energy, I don't know. I feel you're opening this circle a lot more, and
Do you think
you're opening to anything.
do you think using sort of like tarot cards and things like that are a bit more direct, as in sort of getting who you want to talk to, as opposed to a Ouija board?
So for me, when I've done readings and stuff with cards, you're reading for just that person sat across from you.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
sat
that
with you.
makes sense.
You've got your energy. And it's like, so I read off that, and that's when it tends to work for me. Is when someone will come in then and say, that's when you get your message.
That's really interesting.
But I feel like when there's a group of people around the Ouija board and you've all got your finger on the glass, for me, I don't know. I just feel like, and it's what everyone's intention is. Because if you're calling out and your intention is just to see who might be here, but when you've got a table of people and say there's 4 of you, 3 of you might with the intention of positive, but you could have that one guy who's thinking, I'm going to bring something.
Well, it's not even that, but if you've gone in there with sort of like a clear mind, I suppose that still opens up the gateway for anything really, doesn't it? If you've not got an intention as such.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the experience as well, in it. Through everything and doing stuff, you're always going to have good experiences, bad experiences. Just that's part of it. Where else have we got? But I think that's always a fear in it, like you say, because I feel like with more them as well, if it says who it is, and I think maybe if you were with a medium or someone as well on that level, you might probably be more comfortable because you're more in tune with who's coming through.
Yeah.
But if it's people who aren't that susceptible to working with spirit or that sensitive, you could just be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. I get you.
That's my own personal. Divot box as well, freaked him out. Which was in Poland. Oh, you've seen one in Poland. So you've seen the divot box.
No, please tell me about
So
that.
the divot box, so there's not that many. I think there's only like 5 of them in the world, or 10 of them. There's literally a few. But apparently, what is in the divot box is blessed and it's covered in wax. And then they say that there's I can't remember what it's called. A divot. That is So it's a demon in the Jewish, in their religion and their writings. The divot is sure it's called the divot. That's what is like the negative, like demonic kind of thing, and they say it's trapped in there. So as soon as you open the box, because when you tend to open the box, there's bits of random stuff in it, and that when you open the box, that's when all hell. And a lot of people have some really bad experiences through the divot boxes.
So how are people getting? Is it those particular boxes, or are they sort of making their own?
Well, the issue is, so the first ever one was only like 10 years ago. I think someone seen it and they bought it from like a jumble sale in America.
Oh.
And they brought this thinking it was because it was like a wine cabinet, it must be like that big. And they didn't think out of it. And then as soon as they opened it, they had a lot of really bad stuff happening in the house. But now you can find them on eBay, so you don't know what people are doing with these. They're selling them, but you don't know what they're even. But you don't know what they're doing with it either. So that's the
I'm
the risk as well. Paul's then obviously mentioned about residual energy. So you guys as well, what are your thoughts? So what is if you ever come across something like that, would you be intrigued to? Because I know there's one in the museum at Zach Bagan's, he's got one behind a glass cabinet.
What, the divot
Yeah,
board?
he said he was going to open it on a live episode, but he never did.
What, would I open one?
Not necessarily open one, but what's your thought?
Or would I?
From the brief description I give you, what is your
It sounds like it would be some sort of ritual type thing.
Well, this is, yeah.
It sounds. It doesn't sound like a positive thing at all. It does sound very negative.
And the fact they sell them on eBay.
The ceiling with wax as well. That's something quite.
You have to physically break it to get in it.
Yeah, it sounds like something you should not be messing with at all, to be honest.
Chris has mentioned here, actually, talking about Annabelle earlier. I'd love to touch Annabelle. As long as your intentions and your protection has been done correctly, then negative energy can't hurt or inform you. Which is a very good point. Again, it's all about intention. I'd rather not risk it, though.
How far does sort of intention go, though, when you are dealing with something demonic? Because obviously there's different types of spirits, and then you get demons.
Yeah.
You know, how far does that go? Sorry, got my pen. How far does that go to protect you against something with that type of power?
Yeah.
I still don't think I would touch it.
No. I think as well, even if you've got the best intention, there's still that form of something could break you down.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
even you see like the top mediums and stuff, and there's still like I think there's still like things not so nice things when you clear that on you, and then you're having to go through that. You say, I mean, you do the smudging and you sage sticks, you light, and all that.
Yeah.
I'll be going straight to church. If that thing touched me, I'll be straight in holy water, bathing in it.
Yeah, really blessed by the gallon.
So Paul's mentioned here about, obviously we're talking about the tarot cards and stuff.
Yeah.
So about using them as a tool. The same with the boards. If spirit wants to communicate with you, they'll find any means possible.
That's true.
And again, we reiterate, it's the intention in it of everything. So like Chris said, the intention's massive when you're using the board, you're spot on. Brendan's spot. I think it's just dangerous when I just think it's dangerous. The person who was killed, was my boss. When I lived in Real, her son was my mate, and I begged him to stop. That was on the Ouija board.
Ooh, wow, that is.
Yeah. I wasn't expect. I thought that was
struggling to take that in. Then that was like a lot once you said how close.
So Brendan, you've experienced it from first hand, seeing what damage things can do like that. So I'm not so So these are the things what really put me off anything along them lines.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of negative things that you can draw in with a Ouija board, and I think it's easy to be disguised by what is coming through sometimes, because that's the game. That's how they get in, by using disguises and things like that.
No, I agree though. And say if you think you're talking to someone.
Oh yeah, you think you were talking to like a child. They say that's what they come across as most, don't they? Like children, like the most sort of innocent form.
No, I agree that. Chris has put here on his view. I don't believe in demonic presences. I believe that just like in life, there are negative people, just like in death, there are negative spirits. But as far as saying there are demons, devils, I'm not a believer of this. I think it's been dramatized by TV shows. No, I agree there in the over dramatization of things.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's all personal belief. And this is why I love doing the show, because everyone.
Yeah, it's fun. Opinions are the best. It's what keeps. It's all interesting, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I think you do get them people once they pass over, who, if they weren't that nice in real life, and they're probably not going to change when they get there. I think also that from my own personal experience and sort of belief, that I just think there is. It's like everything. Like you need a positive, you need a negative. Like yin and yang. So I do think there is some not so nice things out there.
I think that they very much may well be sort of demons, as much as I believe that they are, guardian angels. I think there is a balance still of, good versus bad, and I think that everybody else sort of, goes in the in-between bit. I think I don't think it's necessarily like putting one pile or the other, but
Yeah,
I think there is. I don't even think that the people that we like things we say demons were ever people. I think it is just energy that is drawn through negative sort of like practices and things.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. So, on the regard, talking of obviously energy and obviously other things like that. So, I wanted to bring this today. So, I brought obviously my bag of tricks. I need a briefcase
The
like that.
briefcase
That's a
of
bit
tricks.
better than that one. So many of you know, obviously, I read cards and obviously bits and bobs, but this used to belong to my granddad, so it's the which I've only ever used this twice. Which is my granddad's crystal ball.
I would be interested to know what crystal ball sort of
So he
works.
used to use it for scrying, right? So scrying is like reading, like, so for example, you can do it with sand, when you mix up the sand, but you can see the pictures in the sand and read,
Oh,
right? So stuff like that. You can do it with like with tea leaves and stuff. You can
yeah. I've heard
So
about
this is
them.
the same thing, right? I've only used it twice. So when my granddad used to do readings, he used to get people to hold it in the hand. So while while he's doing the reading, keep it in your hand while he's doing the cards bit, and then he'd take it. But I remember him telling me how to read it, but I can't. I've struggled with the visualization of reading. But what I got off it when I did the readings was picking up on people's energy, which was quite interesting.
Okay.
So it's the first time I got to do like psychometry, and like you're picking up how they was feeling now. Like.
So you can tell sort of how someone's feeling through the
Yeah, I
ball.
was picking up like you can touch it for me.
Can touch it. That's cool.
It was like picking up their energy and their feelings and stuff. It's quite interesting, actually. But I always struggled to see the pictures in it, but he could read it with seeing things in it, kind of thing. If that makes sense.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Right.
So would you have to physically look through it, or?
No, so apparently, so you don't look into the center of it. You look at the way he described it to me was like looking over the top. So you're reading, so because it's obviously clear, but you can see the pictures in the.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah.
But yeah, I struggled with that. Not gonna lie. And then I was also told, I don't know what your guys' thoughts of this or what your thoughts are, that apparently when you do have these balls, not to look in after midnight, because the vibe of what you see in
Oh,
it
that's
completely
interesting.
changes.
That
Not
reminds me
necessarily
of.
negative, but you can see some weird things, and apparently they say not to sort of work with them after
That's.
like midnight.
They do say stuff like that, don't they? With mirrors, like you should never have two mirrors facing each other and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because like you'll draw bad stuff in or whatever.
What are your thoughts are? Do you think that there is like, I know they say like the witching hour, do you think that after a certain time things can go a bit more, change a bit? Different vibe maybe?
Possibly, but this goes back to what I said before. I don't particularly believe in a specific sort of time frame for activity to happen, but I think that when everyone's sort of so preoccupied with life and you're busy, everyone's got cars, everyone's driving around, everyone's got a 9 to 5 work, shopping, whatever. You don't have any time to sort of accept that there might be anything other than just your life, sort of tunnel vision.
Yeah.
So I think at a time when the majority of like UK, I don't know what's the world, but would be asleep. I think it possibly would be the like early hours of the morning when you would pick stuff up because that's when everything's sort of settled down.
Yeah, your mind shut down,
Yeah. That's my opinion on it.
That's a good one. Okay. I know Paul's mentioned obviously about obviously time not existing in the spirit world, which I 100% believe. Just from experience, and I remember like obviously talking about my granddad a lot, but a lot of the experiences he was saying, and he always used to tell me about there's no time, and that's why like my nana used to come through in the middle of the night to him, and she'd shout him to wake him up, and he's like, yeah, it's literally the nicest story.
That's cute.
But he'd be like, he'd go mad because obviously it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. But
Yeah.
for her, because there's no time and no concept of time for them, it'd just be like a normal any other day in that sense.
That's interesting.
Sandra, good evening. Your nana's just mentioned about your mum's got a scrying mirror.
Oh. I didn't actually know that.
Sarah, you will get a message
It doesn't
after this show.
surprise me. Yeah, it does not surprise me. I think in my mum's room, she's got them like sticks that like
Oh, the
open,
dowsing rods.
and she's got them as a decoration next to her bed. So there's nothing more that could surprise me about my mum, unless she had like a Ouija board under a pillowcase.
I hope not.
I also hope not.
So obviously we're talking on the lines of psychometry and reading things and obviously everything else. So you got to experience it firsthand, obviously going back to Newsham Park, and we're talking about it in the car. So when you obviously fainted in the when we was in the what was it called?
Laundry room.
Yeah, the laundrette. Did you feel anything while holding on to that trolley, or was it you just felt a bit lightheaded and woozy and then dropped, or did you? Because we were saying about seeing things, weren't we?
No, the only thing that I thought was sort of some big sort of significance was at the start of the time that we were in that room, there was some people stood in front of us to begin with. And I thought there was still, someone was still stood in front of me just before I passed out. Because I remember saying to Jared, I was like, there's someone in front of me. And I didn't realise that there was actually nobody there. So I'd say the whole time in the room I felt fine. It was a strange experience because when you're in a sort of pitch black room, like you don't like all your senses go crazy. You're so open to everything else that you don't really like think about anything. But yeah, I just remember like visually seeing sort of someone thinking that there was someone stood in front of me, but they never were. So I don't know if that had something to sort of do with it or not, or whether it was holding on to the trolley. Or whether holding on to the trolley could have led me to see who were in front of me, I don't know.
Or maybe who worked
Yeah.
there, yeah. It's definitely interesting. If anyone's never been to Newsham Park, it's definitely worth a visit. And obviously Chris is, I think he's going back into later in the year, he mentioned it.
Yeah, I think he said
Chris,
later
you're
in
coming
the
back, aren't you? I'm talking to you, but he's watching, so I should have asked him. Yeah, there was some weird stuff in there. But even I remember once we was on this main road, from Holsack to Nelson, there's like a main road.
Yeah.
So I always remember my granddad telling me a story about this place. So we ended up on there because we were trying to find X-Twistle Hall, and it was dark, so I drove past it.
Yeah.
And then we end up, there's these big gates. I don't know if it's a cemetery. I think it is a cemetery, but there's always a churchyard into a cemetery, but it's always locked up.
I know exactly what you're on about. Yeah, I drove past there.
And there's a padlock on there. Honestly, I thought I would have gone mad. Literally,
Was that the padlock?
I just put my hand on the padlock, just holding it. She's on the sea. Obviously, it was on a live. It's one of the lives from last year at some point. I mean, honestly, that road was weird. Let's say I felt really like something were latching onto me. It was weird. Very uncomfortable.
I think just sort of like sometimes knowing the sort of history of a place as well can make you feel like that sort of maybe sort of knowing that you were going to X-Twistle Hall, that's what you were going to look for. You had that sort of intention set in your mind that you wanted to find something. Maybe that's just what happened.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. And the mind works in wonderful and mysterious ways.
Oh yes.
So we're going to obviously talk about now. We've got upcoming guests and upcoming lives as well. So Bob will be back next week. I think it's next week we're going to do the live, isn't it?
Yes.
But do you want to tell people what we've got upcoming in the next few weeks? It's very exciting. This is what we're saying about this whole new relaunch, new brand. It's going to be absolutely epic. Down to you.
Now you're gonna have to let me remember who we've got first. There's just so many.
We have. I will tell you now. I've got the list here. Just bear with me, everyone.
We have a list.
We have to write the list because I've got a memory like a sieve.
So do I. That's why I was relying on you to take that. Then.
So we've got. Where is he now? Is he here? Reverend James Bray, who is the exorcist.
He did. There was a video that you sent me. Were it this morning that you were on?
Yes.
And it was a really cool video, and he's talking about how sort of when he was in his early days of like sort of becoming a reverend or a priest or one of the two, I'm not sure. But they get to live in this house that must be like given to him off the church.
Yeah.
And it were like he went in there, and he first went in there in like maybe December or something, and it was freezing. which, to be expected. Anyway, so they didn't move in until I think the following July, when it was still freezing. So they got everything sort of sorted out. I think they had the windows redone, and it was still absolutely freezing. And then it turned out the house needed an exorcism to clear what was there.
So we bought his book. So he has a book.
We did buy his book.
So he's joining us in 2 weeks, which is, the date is, honestly, I should have wrote this down a bit better. So he's with us on the 6th of June. Reverend James Bray. So he's going to tell us all about his journey, all about these, obviously the exorcisms he's done. But if you go on this morning, his story's on there as well. But he's top guy, nice guy.
He seems very interesting. I'm sure it'll be a really good show, that one.
And we also have Michael coming on, Michael Gaguardi, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm trying to pronounce it right. So he's on next Monday. And do you remember his story? Do you want me to tell him?
I'll let you tell the story.
So Michael got in contact with me. It was actually a couple of months ago. It's in the show, and obviously when I've asked him for people if they want to come on as guests. And it turned out this is a brief story, so he's going to tell us in detail next week. But his mum was possessed, and it's also to do with Ouija boards as well. And his mum was possessed, and there was a lot of negative things happened through his childhood, which happened for quite a few years. So he ended up writing a book about his experience. So he'll be joining us all the way from the States next week.
Oh, same, right?
Next Monday. Michael will be joining us to tell us, obviously, again about his upbringing and how he coped with it. And I can't even begin to imagine what that must have been like. So the book is called Devil the Hindmost. So it's a true story of a small boy and his 12-year survival of his demonically possessed mother that terrorized the community and their neighbours in the States.
I bet it's going to be a really interesting.
So the next 2 weeks is all about exorcisms, exorcists, and obviously a bit more into delving into a bit more of the negativity side, I guess. Later in this year, Chris is back. I'm just going to catch up with the comments as well. And then we also got Past Life Regression. That will be done live. We've got a couple of paranormal groups, and they're going to be in the studio.
Yeah.
We've got Paddy and Paranormal coming in.
We do have Paddy and Paranormal. I'm very excited to meet them.
Yeah. So there's a lot to look forward to, guys. And obviously the lives are coming back. It's just been the craziest past couple of months. Which I'm excited now to get back into the swing of things. Oh, I did. Evening.
Spooky.
Simon, is there anything upstairs? Okay. So that's the second weirdest thing that's happened today. Elaine, can't wait to watch. Sounds exciting. Paul's mentioned East Drive, which we haven't been yet. It is on the hit list too.
Yeah, I really want to go to East Drive. I've seen a couple of shows on it, and I really, really fancy it. It's got a poltergeist. Is it Fred the poltergeist?
Yeah, and the Black Monk as well.
Yeah.
And they said it's in one of the, is it the coal shed in it, which apparently there's some weird stuff happening.
Yeah, the guy who lived in the house apparently got trapped in there by Fred or the monk. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But apparently he came out never the same.
The way you described that completely.
Yeah, it did. That's what it said.
So East Drive is planned. I think it's October, because it books up that fast. It's ridiculous to be able to get in. But October we're due to go. So I think it'll be probably live stream. Same with the Ancient Ramin.
Yeah, Ancient Ramin.
Due to go back there. Cool. Went 2 years ago. I think it was a year ago. I think it's about a year ago now, actually. Creepy place, and I was still on the fence when I left, which is why I think I need to go back again. Because
on the fence in what sense?
Is it
haunted or just creepy?
Is it because everyone knows the story and everyone knows about the history of the place? So is it naturally in your mindset when you get there that it is?
Yeah, I get that. It's like a different way of looking at the Annabelle question, in it. Like, is it fear? Is it this? Or is it this? Or is it this? Yeah, I get that. Like, is it is it just because of the history? Like,
yeah, because it naturally sets something in your mind that it's a creepy old building.
Yeah.
Although the day when I got there, the lady who now owns the building sent me a video of one of the rocking chairs moving on its own. So she was sat in the settee watching the telly. There's a guy sat next to her, and obviously there's cameras obviously all over the place. No one's near anything. There's just the two of them, and then the chair just rocks on its own and starts moving. That's creepy. You can't explain that.
Yeah, I won't be.
So there's obviously something there. I just think there's maybe a bit more to find out. But we did have some creepy stuff happen there. So has anyone ever been to the Ramin? Who's watching? What is his drive? I was there on my own before our guests arrived, and I packed myself. The door moved, and there was a loud bang on the other side of the door. That was Chris when he went to his drive.
Yeah, do you know, sorry, I tripped over my words. But I do believe that a lot of activity does happen at East Drive. I think there's a website where you can keep up with it, and it'll have like updates on like Fred has trashed this bedroom.
Yes.
And it'll just be like, sorry, it'll be like the quilts like all ripped up and stuff and whatever. But it does seem cool. From the shows that I've watched, a lot of stuff happens there.
Yeah, I think there was a live stream actually. I saw it earlier this year, and they were all sat around doing like a seance around this table, and someone had scratched on her arms. And there was like no explanation to how this would have happened, and
Yeah.
but again, an intention thing. But then I've seen some people go there and get absolutely nothing, and I think it's like a lot of places, and I think if you go in with the mentality of like,
Did you hear that over there then? Sorry.
what?
There was another noise over there.
Oh no, I didn't.
I heard it.
If you you go in with that mentality like I'm going to make you a performing monkey to start chucking things around the room, it's not going to happen.
No, and I think you'll never get what you want with that sort of mindset. You know, if you expect too much, you know, it's just not going to be good because you're not going to get a lot.
Yeah, Paul's mentioned here, I was at a place having a meal on Saturday, the Stag's Head, and it has a board on the wall mentioned Shingle Hall as the most haunted house in England. Would you visit there? See,
I've heard of Shingle
so it's
Hall.
near Preston.
Yeah, I thought I'd heard of
I think it's
it.
the back road, isn't it, for like Preston Blackburn area.
Oh, I see.
It used to be available for paranormal investigations, but not anymore. It was bought out by someone, and now if you trespass on the land, you get in a lot of trouble. So no one's allowed to go there. But apparently, the stories what have come out of that place, like the poltergeist activity and all the stuff that's happened there, is pretty mental. But they won't let anyone do anything.
What is it? Is it development or
No,
something?
it's still there. The hole is still there. It's a bit like X-Twistle, you know, that it's a smallish. It's not like what you think the town with. But apparently, the activity, what people have got there over the years, is absolutely out of this world. Because apparently, what you used to hire it and they lock you in and they come and get you in the morning.
Oh, I think I've heard of it. Yeah.
And a lot of people have done a lot of dodgy things happen.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it.
So, so guys, we're going to come towards the end of the episode now. But I think her husband died, so they stopped letting people in. Oh, that's what Shingle.
Yeah, I think I remember it with Tracy that were telling me about it.
Tracy, have you been? Did you go to Shingle? Because I think Tracy mentioned it to me as well. I think she lived inside. I think Denise mentioned it as well. Shingle Hall. Because I think she'd been round the grounds. Same with Salisbury Hall. She'd been round the grounds and got quite a lot, but then obviously now they stopped. Unfortunately, you can't obviously go down there. The police in Elland, West Yorkshire, is very active. See, these are the places where I want to go to, like these old pubs, because I said to you I want to like doing the thing on Guy Fawkes and you know these kind of different things.
Yeah, the Jamaica Inn sounds really cool.
Yeah, Chris, have you been to Jamaica Inn? Is it on your website? Yeah, someone who goes to the awareness class with me, Janice, who's watching or was, she went to the Jamaica. I'm not sure what activity I was waiting for a message. Trace mentioned Shingle Hall here. You go at night, she locks you in for the night. Imagine that. There's no chance of getting out. So again, is that going back to fear? Does that naturally put a thing in your mind like if something happens here, I can't get out, so you're naturally more on edge?
And I think as well, going back to that sort of, you know, is it setting a sort of negative like expectation already of you getting locked in, so it must be like a bad thing to happen, you know?
Yeah.
Would that set your mind up to expect sort of, you know, sort of negative things, or would you, you know, mind play tricks on you and just you'd be tricked by yourself?
No, it's true. I think that's why, especially when you're in the early days of investigating as well, or if you, because like I said to you, I don't really like to know anything before you get in the buildings, because then if it's reported there's poltergeist activity or you know there's a gentleman by the name of Fred or whatever, I'd rather not know. And then if you pick it
like
up,
if you go in the blue room,
because then your mind's open then to like who knows what's going to happen, rather than this place is that haunted, it's, you know, it's whatever's going to happen, doors are going to become flying at your face and you're naturally going to be on edge.
Yeah.
Or you're expecting it to happen rather than just a bit more open-minded, I think. But yeah, I thought it was, is that, I think Chris is about Jamaica in there. But yeah, we've got, like you said, we've got the lives coming up, and then we've got a few more interviews on, and people will be actually joining us in here as well, which is absolutely epic.
Yeah, it will be cool.
And Chris is due on the 27th of June, so we're looking forward to Chris, because I think the 2 nights before you at the Majestic Theatre in Darlington, so he'll be able to share his experience with us. And I am there in 2 weeks singing, so it's going to be
ooh, spooky.
I'm going to go live. Instead of doing my Elvis gig, I'll just go live backstage. Like, is anybody here?
Yeah, dressed as Elvis with your camera. Hello.
Yeah. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight and obviously being a part of this brand new episode and the first one of the brand new relaunch. So, I hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you for all your comments. And have you enjoyed so?
Yeah, I've loved it. I really can't wait to carry on and see where it ends up going. So that's really fun. Thank you, everybody.
Nice. So, guys, thank you so much. We will see you next week, and hopefully we'll have a live this week at some point. So take care, all the best, love and light, and adios, everybody.